Alright, this is Series 35. We're in Shemoth, which is Exodus. We're in chapter 20. We're going to start at verse 12. Respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which, we have the name of God right there, your Elohim is giving you. That's pretty simple there. Respect your mother, respect your father. Especially if they're married, they're one. All right, so they're one and the same. So if you want to live long, respect them, especially if you come from a single parent home. Most oftentimes, the mother is there. Respect her the best you can, all right? Verse 17, you do not covet your neighbor's house. You do not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, or whatever belongs to your neighbor. This is key here. You do not covet. We have wife here, female servant, importance of women. Why is that brought up? All right. A lot of these situations, women are brought up, and you need to know the definition of covet. All right, so we're gonna pull that up for you quick, and that's just gonna get a little bit of a head start. So we have covet here: yearn to possess or have something. So for most, that should be easy to understand, but a quick example is, if you're rich, a lot of the things that you have, you may be causing people to sin because a lot of people may want it. And especially if you do it and bring it around people that don't have much, that's not helping anyone because, a lot of people who don't have things, they desire to have certain things, right? So you just got to know who you're around and if they're mature enough to handle it. And then vice versa. If you don't have much, going places and things that, you really want or tempted yourself to get it, you don't want to lead yourself into going down the wrong path. But also just be thankful for your life, being content with what you have, because some people, they may not make it to heaven like you're going. They may not make it to the new earth, and then, for those people who not going to make it, they want to make this life down here as best as they can. So you don't want to ruin their joy or spoil their moment, because you want the same for yourself, right? If this is all that you had, and you will want the best car, you'll want the best house, you'll want the best services and things like that. So you can't covet, your neighbor or things like that, or get jealous. You just have to be thankful for your life, and then just pray and ask God if some of those things are meant for you. Maybe God will bless you. All right. We go on to chapter 21. When you buy a Hebrew servant, he serves 6 years, and in the seventh he goes out free for naught. If he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. This is key here. It talks about the wife. You are one and the same. So if you're married, like you said, if he comes in married, you're going out with him. So whatever happens during this time period, this is talking mainly in the context of a Hebrew servant. They had kids and things like that. They all leaving too. They all his, right? But in this situation here, this is like finding a wife. All right. So it says that when a man would leave his father and mother when he finds a wife. So in this situation, he's found a wife. Now, this is a different way to get married too when someone gives you a wife. If his master has given him a wife and she has borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children are her master's, and he goes out by himself. And if the servant truly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, let me not go out free, then his master shall bring him before Elohim, and shall bring him to the door or to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. So this is key here. All right, he had to serve forever because he truly loves him. He has to become one with her, and he was given to him by someone who owned her before. So like if someone has to hook you up or set you up on a blind date and things like that, they still may have control over things because obviously they may have told them about you or said some good things about you. Now if it's not true or if it is true, they won't find out until you're involved with that person. All right. So in this situation, it's kind of like Moses. Moses was given a wife by his father-in-law because he had helped the women, the seven sisters that went down to get water. When they went back, he was given a wife, and then also we seen that he sent his wife back to his father-in-law with her kids. And the father-in-law came to meet Moses, and he told Moses he brought his wife, his daughter, and then also the children with him. So we see here in the same thing. The master is over the children and the wife. But if he wants to remain with them, he would have to, be one with her, truly love her and stay there, because they're one and the same now. So that's key. And also, these verses are kind of scattered, so we're going to keep going through. Verse 15, and he who strikes his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. So key here, don't get into a fight with your mom or dad. Don't hit them or things like that. Remember, you still have to respect them when the previous verse to prolong your life. And, being able not to hit them and just, be obeying them and respecting them, that's going to be key here. Especially if they're married, your father and mother are one. So this is still the importance of women here. The mother has to have children in order for this to be put out here, and then also the woman is who gets pregnant. So has to be important for women. So that's key here. If your children are hitting you and things like that, you have to warn them that they still have to give an answer to God. And this is scripture, all right? This is not coming from me. And he who curses his father or his mother shall certainly be put to death. Again, this is also coming from scripture here. If you believe in it, and this is God's word, this is what God has said. I'm just relaying this message to you. So if you cursing out your father or mother, or you putting curses on them and things like that, you could also be put to death for that. If they forgive you and things like that, you better ask for it. You better stop right away. But if you're involved in this, if you're upset because of the life that you have, and things like that, you want to check yourself and align yourself for God, follow scripture, and don't want to lose your life too early. Respect your mom or your dad. Also, when we go here, and when men strive, and they shall smite a pregnant woman, and her children come out, yet there is no injury, he shall certainly be punished accordingly as the woman husband lays upon him, and he shall give through the judges. But if there is injury, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, lash for lash. All right, and smite, strike with a firm blow, be strongly attracted to someone or something, a heavy blow, or struck with a weapon or the hand. So as we see here, this was talk about smiting a woman. Another key thing you want to point out, it talks about a married woman. So this is talk about a married woman, and it's talking about being pregnant. Oftentimes, and when we see in scripture, there is a woman that's being married, and she's that's when she gets pregnant. All right, there's one case in here where a woman has already had a kid before she got married, but the kid was not from the man whom was being used by God in that situation. But from here, what we can get from here, in order for scripture to work and to be for this to able to be proven true, we see here a woman's husband lays upon him, so she has to have a husband here, and then she's pregnant. So we have to take in consideration being married. Now, no injury. All right. This is what they had to give to the judges. So a woman being hit and things like that, maybe it's some pain or fear or things like that. Your husband is gonna have to take up with that. All right. Some things that God allowed for you all to take care of just with you being married, and then also miscarriages and things like that. These things were taken care of differently back then. Sometimes it could come from being hit, being abused, and things like that. So you need to take all this into consideration. Again, the key point and main thing here, get married before you decide to have children. Oh, and also stay away from males who are just too aggressive or too big. Sometimes they may not know how strong they are, or how strong they feel to you and things like that. So you just want to be sure that you're around people your size, or that's big enough to make you feel comfortable, but not too big to overwhelm you. All right, and as we go to chapter 22, we go to verse 22. Do not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If you do afflict them at all, if they cry out to me at all, I shall certainly hear their cry. And my wrath shall burn, and I shall kill you with the sword. Your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. So this is key here. All right, if you come from a fatherless home, just growing up with just your mom, or you're adopted and things like that, or if you're a widow, not married anymore, maybe your husband passed away, or maybe you were divorced or things like that. Look how God protects you in this situation. He says, if you do afflict them at all, if they cry out to me, have a relationship with God. Pray to God, and every time something goes wrong, someone makes you mad or upset, don't act out on it. Don't fight back, or just pray to God. Let God handle it. You see what he said he's going to do? All right, and then if they have to live the same way as you, maybe making fun of you because you grew up without your dad or things like that. Or maybe you're a widow now, there's people making fun of you, but them doing these things trying to afflict you because of that. When the tables are turned and they're in that situation, what then? Just thank God where you're at now, and He can change your life around. So this is key here. Check this out. If you're one of these, you should always go to God, thanking Him, crying out to Him anytime something happens. You got to be His baby. All right, that's the key. He's a father to the fatherless. All right. Also, we're still in Exodus. We're gonna go. This is chapter 23. Now we're in verse 24. Do not bow down to their mighty ones, nor serve them, nor do according to their works, but without fail overthrow them, and without fail break down their pillars. And you shall serve at the name of God right there, your Elohim, and He shall bless your bread and your water. And I shall remove sickness from your midst. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I shall fill the number of your days. All right, so this is also talking about how to live longer, how not to have miscarriages, and how not to go without children. And you have to obey God, not serving other gods. All right. Not going to other idols, having them in your house just because it look nice and things like that. Get that stuff out of your house. All right. Say you're gonna bless your bread, so you're gonna have food to eat. You say you're gonna bless your water too, so you're gonna have food to drink. So obey God. You're gonna get these children. All right. They not gonna miscarry no more. You're gonna have a child. All right. If you didn't have a miscarriage or you just been waiting for a child, it's gonna come. But you have to serve God 100%. All right. You have to shut out evil and you have to follow scripture. All right, we're in the grand finale. This is Leviticus, which is Waycraft. All right, we're in chapter 12, and we're going to get into it. And we have the name of God right there. Spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, saying, when a woman has conceived and has given birth to a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, as in the days of her monthly separation, she is unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin is circumcised, and she remains in the blood of her cleansing 33 days. She does not touch whatever is set apart, and she does not come into the set apart place until the days of her cleansing are completed. But if she gives birth to a female child, then she shall be unclean for 2 weeks, as in her monthly separation, and she remains in the blood of her cleansing for 66 days. And when the days of her cleansing are completed, for a son or for a daughter, she brings to the priest a lamb a year old as an ascending offering, and a young pigeon or a turtle dove as a sin offering to the door of the tent of appointment. And he shall bring it before, we have the name of God right there, and make atonement for her, and she shall be cleansed from the flow of her blood. This is the Torah for her who has given birth to a male or a female. And if she is not able to bring a lamb, then she shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, one as an ascending offering and the other as a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for her, and she shall be clean. All right. This is highly important. Women, you need to be clean. All right. You have to be clean. All right. When you see here in the scripture, it's talking about where she gives birth to a female for 2 weeks. All right, so now it's 2 weeks here. Look at this. Monthly 7 days back here for a male child. So we know that for females, you have to be more aggressive in serving God than the men are. All right, it's more of, a purpose for you, especially if you're living holy and able to do these things the right way. You're going to be able to be on fire for God. All right, He's an all-consuming fire. And you just want to take a look at this. Know that there's certain times of the month where you're unclean for your monthly separation. And then knowing that how many days you should take off after having a child so that you're following scripture. All right. These are things you still can apply to your life today. This will also prepare you just to stay single and be without children, to be able to remain happy that way as well, But it talks about, the difference between male and female child being born. So we see the difference there. Male and females are not equal. All right. So men have a little bit of easier job staying clean. And then your monthly cycle, we're going to get more into that in the next series where it talks about those things. And other than that, we're going to get the key points out. This is series 35. Hope you enjoyed it. But this is something good for women to go over. and speak with within the churches and y'all services, women's service only, and go from there. God bless.